Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. My name is Tom Tobin, president of the club, and we're thrilled to have you join us today. This meeting broadcast is available on HCTV as well as our Rotary of Hudson YouTube channel. Our club meets weekly at Laurel Lake for breakfast on Wednesday mornings from 7:15 to 8:30. Come out and join us for a meeting. We would love to have you as a guest. To learn more about Rotary, our club, and the impact we're having on our local community and the world, visit our website, rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the meeting today and help us share the message that Rotary connects the world.
Okay. Good morning, Rotarians and friends. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson, and welcome to all of those guests that are viewing us online. As I know, Tom Tobin's mother watches us every morning. So welcome to everyone. Our invocation this morning is by Phil Herman.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
Morning, Phil.
Let us pray. Dear God, we find ourselves in some challenging times today. We need little more than to turn on the news and see the unknowns and uncertainties about COVID-19, the negative effects of the economy, or how far we have to go, not only in ending racism, but to become anti-racist in our nation, in our community, in our state. It's overwhelming, and it's hard, God, sometimes to know how to best lead and to serve. And in a few minutes, we're going to say the four-way test, and help us, God, view that test through the lens of your purpose for our lives and our organization. When we answer questions of truth and fairness and the best ways to build goodwill and friendships and to benefit all concerned, help us use those questions not only to guide our service organization, but to also look at them through the lens of your will for our lives. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well done.
And now to lead us in the pledge and the four-way test, John Adams.
So if you'll notice in the corner here, I thought it'd be appropriate to show you the flag I have here from my father's funeral, United States Marine. So with that thought, please join me as we pledge allegiance to the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Now for the four-way test. First, is it the truth?
It's the truth.
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all
To all
concerned?
concerned.
Will it build
Goodwill and better friendships.
Friendship. Fourth,
Will it be beneficial
to all concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. And now for his grand finale, our president, Tom Tobin.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Good
good
morning.
morning, Tom.
Hey, John Adams, tell me, because I saw something on Facebook recently about you, and you were referring to your dad. Did he pass away recently?
No, it's been about 6 years.
Okay.
But so it's been about 6 years.
Okay. But he was a jarhead, huh?
Yeah, I just reposted that because it was Father's Day. That's all.
That made sense, but I just wanted to double check that, make sure I hadn't missed on something.
Sure.
Okay. Well, speaking of dads, I would like to take one moment to recognize the fact that today is my father's birthday, June 24th, 1933. Tom and Mary Tobin brought baby boy number 5, Phil Tobin, into the world. Phil has had 4 brothers. He's the only survivor, and he's redefining how long it is a Tobin male can live, and I really appreciate that. So, Dad, happy birthday to you, and I wish you about 30 more, okay? All right. I also just wanted to, and this is for my mother's benefit or my mother's suggestion. I also wanted to congratulate Richard Nebbiolo on being elected president of LAM, which I believe is Life Action Ministry, the kind of the senior program at St. Mary's Church. I know it's a very important program for hundreds of people at St. Mary's. It's an important program for the community and organization, I should say. And I know your many friends are very proud of you and wish you a very successful year in that role, Richard.
Thank you, Thomas.
Sure. Okay. Let's see. So I guess before I'm going to hop to something else here in just a moment, but I just wanted to give a head start or a note here. I need to explain that I had intended this morning to have a vote on a slate of board members and officers for you, the club members, to vote on this morning. But we did not have the necessary quorum at the club board meeting last week. So I scheduled another board meeting to follow this meeting this morning. Assuming that we are able to establish a quorum there and vote to approve those nominees. The first piece of business at next week's club meeting will be for the club members, you all to vote to install those new board members and officers. So just wanted to give you a heads up about that. And then of course, any member is willing to sit in on the board meeting after this meeting this morning, you are welcome to be there. We would welcome you to be there. So, all right. That having been said, I'd like to start out the rest of the meeting with something special. Many of us in the club and community remember Jimmy Sutphin as a very special person. Jimmy was generous, kind, friendly to all, and lived his life by the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Several years ago, in his honor, we created a Jimmy Sutphin Award. And I would like to call upon member Marilyn Orr to tell us about it and this year's Jimmy Sutphin awardee.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, President. This award was established in 2015 as an honor to Jimmy Sutphin, a beloved member of the Rotary Club of Hudson. It's meant to recognize the deserving Rotarian or Hudson community leader who most closely reflects the dedication to the service above self Rotary standard. The criteria for consideration of that individual for the award include, first, that they be actively involved in our Hudson community, exhibit the general directives of Rotary in his or her personal and business life, exhibit the ideals of the four-way test in his or her personal and business life, make a significant impact on the overall community, and demonstrate creativity and initiative, demonstrates responsibility and dependability, and then doesn't necessarily need to be well known, although that's not particularly the case today. The last Jimmy Sutphin Award was done in 2019, and the recipient was Lonnie Banner, a great friend of the Rotary Club of Hudson. She was a leader and educator who was the coordinator of the Hudson High School Service Learning Program that we all have participated in. She demonstrated innovation and creative ways to build that program for our high school seniors and worked in collaboration with our Rotary Club for many years to make it a successful partnership. And this year, we looked for exemplary leadership and found the work of Iris Whittington Gold, an innovator and educator on the other end of the spectrum in our senior community. This award is given in recognition of your outstanding work to establish the Encore Campus Hudson Lifelong Learning Program in coordination with the Cuyahoga Community College and facilitating its transition into the SAGE community when budget cuts threaten its very existence. The SAGE community stands for stimulation, adventure, growth, and education, everything that seniors strive to do. This vital program means so much to the senior citizens of Hudson and the greater Northeast Ohio, providing fellowship and new learning experiences. At this time, I would like to introduce Iris's dear friend and fellow SAGE board member, Rose McIntyre, who will give a brief introduction of Miss Gold and her mission. Ms. McIntyre, please unmute yourself. And the floor is yours.
Is she there?
Mhm.
I think, Rose, are you still there? I saw you on the call earlier. There's a mute button at the very lower edge.
Okay, I'm here, right?
Excellent. Yes, you are.
It is my pleasure to present this tribute to Iris Gold, a remarkable, unforgettable woman and my treasured friend. Iris is a woman of enormous energy, passion, and uncommon vision. She has a mind as sharp as a razor, and when not in her director's role, she has the disposition of a warm puppy. If you haven't as yet enjoyed a hug from Iris Gold, you haven't lived. I met Iris when she was recruited to direct the Encore Adult Lifelong Learning program that she had developed while at Tri-C some years ago. Iris was 78 years old, an age when many of us are settling into a measured pace. Not my dear friend Iris. She took to the helm and attracted an enthusiastic student body, a cadre of instructors, and a dedicated advisory board. When Tri-C's budget was cut, Encore's campus, Hudson, was cut. Iris had already put into place the groundwork necessary for an independent senior ed program that would reach out to surrounding communities, and thus the birth of the program we now know as SAGE. I'd like to digress for a bit and share what could be a cosmic happening. You heard me right, a cosmic happening that linked Iris and me to SAGE. You can take it or leave it, whatever fits for you. I promise, if anything, that it makes for a good story. With Iris's permission, I begin. Many years ago, Iris decided to have a psychic reading. The reading told her she had been a nun and a teacher in the Middle Ages in England. When Iris shared this with me, I told her it was no wonder we were so bonded, for I had long identified with that same time period when nuns called anchoresses lived in a cubicle attached to a church. That nun's purpose was to be a spiritual advisor, a teacher, and a healer. I have been a psychotherapist, a healer, you might say, for 40 years. Iris had always considered her work at Tri-C to be more than a job, but as an opportunity to serve God's people. My given name is Rosamond, a common name in the Middle Ages that meant healer. Could Iris and I have known one another in another lifetime? Well, you can take this as you want to. We love the story. There is another story, probably one of 100, that Iris has shared with me over our long friendship. As she shared with many of you in her farewell letter, she has never been a spiritual woman in the traditional sense, but she has always kept a running conversation with the Almighty. She has given me permission to share this with you. This story goes back to the 1950s when Iris was a single, divorced mother of 4 children. She was desperate to get a job and was fortunate enough to have gotten an interview with Dr. Thornton, president of Tri-C's Eastern Campus. The interview went very well, and the only thing left was for Iris to prove that she could type 60 words per minute. But as she sat before that typewriter, she was stunned at how many mistakes she was making. The woman who was administering the test was also concerned. She encouraged Iris to take a deep breath and relax, but Iris continued to bungle the test. It was then decided that she would go outside, take a walk, eat her brown bag lunch, relax, and return to the typing test. While outside, she had some angry words for God. She pleaded, she bargained, anything to get God's attention. God, I'm really angry with you. You know I need this job. Silence. When Iris returned to retake the test, that kindly lady said, you know, Iris, maybe you're having trouble because you're not used to an electric typewriter. I have another old typewriter, and you can try that. Undaunted, Iris took the challenge and typed 60 words per minute. No mistakes. The job was hers. We resumed the history of Sage's beginning. When Tri-C had to cut the program called Encore, Iris decided that with the help of the advisory board to continue the program independently. We needed a name, so Iris, Nikki Wingerson, formerly a professor at the University of Akron, and I sat down at Iris's kitchen table to brainstorm. We arrived at the name Sage from the word sagacious, showing keen mental discernment. Iris said that she thought the name should be Sage Community, and that's when the program transformed into an entity with broad spiritual undergirdings. When I first met Iris at what was then Encore, I thanked her for the program. It was just what I needed, a place to meet like-minded, mature people in a setting of intellectual stimulation. It clicked immediately, and she invited me to go out to dinner. I jumped at the chance to learn more about this interesting woman. Iris chose the Peachtree Southern Kitchen and Cocktails in Hudson. When we arrived at that dark, strangely quiet venue in the late afternoon, she asked me if it was okay with me to sit at the bar. Call me a prude, but I was taken aback. I wondered what I was getting into because this was something I had never done before, sit at a bar with a girlfriend. I couldn't help but wonder if my new friend had a drinking problem. We pulled out a couple of bar stools and sat down. The bartender came over, paused in front of Iris, saying, "Chardonnay, right?" My eyes widened, but I maintained my composure and ordered the first wine I could think of, Pink Zinfandel, to keep up with her as I continued to observe her. Iris, if we could have a Groundhog Day, I would say, get me a double scotch on the rocks and let you puzzle over me. To quell your anxiety, Iris Gold does not have a drinking problem. During our wonderful 11-year friendship, we almost always sit at some bar and gab about our lives and debrief the SAGE program of the day. Thankfully, I no longer have to drink, though she is still a Chardonnay aficionada and sometimes a Merlot girl. in case you want to take her out to dinner. In recent months, I have felt sad when Iris began to say that she would know when it was time for her to leave Sage. There was no point in talking her out of it. She quietly canvassed the student body in search of a candidate to carry on the program. And with that keen intuition of hers, she chose Margot Kernan. Thankfully, Margot agreed. Those of us on the advisory and the executive boards pledged to support her with the faith that has kept Sage alive and well for the last decade. We know Iris will always send her love and inspiration and virtual hugs. We want to thank the Rotary Club of Hudson for selecting Iris Gold for this well-deserved tribute. We extend an invitation to those of you who have not experienced Sage to join us when we are able to restart this program. Thank you.
It's beautiful. You make sure.
Thank you, Rose. That was beautiful.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So Jay Yard, I hope you're gonna maybe have an opportunity to share the fact that the Rotary Club is bestowed this award upon Iris for the local paper and everything like that. You can tone down the part about the alcohol and the wine a little bit.
You forgot this thing was being taped.
No, that's fine.
Hey, Tom, could we ask Iris to maybe say a few comments, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, Rose, thank you for that introduction, but I think you embellished the barstool thing a little bit. And to the Rotary Club, I thank you so much. I feel honored that you have given me this opportunity and to say a few words. I have the flowers in front of me that you sent, and they are beautiful. And I was just trying to remember back that I was wondering if the Rotary Club met at Laurel Lake back in the day. I think
Yes.
so. And I came in the fall of 2009 with a Rotary member and who was also involved in Sage. And I just can't think of his name right now, and it makes me feel badly because I know him so well. But anyhow, I came to Rotary and had breakfast with you, and then talked about Sage Community, the lifelong learning program we were starting in Hudson. So it's interesting that at the very end of 11 years, I can thank you all for your support and for this great honor. I truly appreciate it. Every once in a while, I find myself wishing I was a bit younger. And now is one of those times because I'm sort of a visionary when it comes to work related to the aging field. And I have been visioning that if I were 20, 25, 30 years younger right now, I would like to take Hudson beyond lifelong learning and think about, especially since the junior high school is going to be available at some point in the future, I was thinking what a great place that would be for not only for adult education with classrooms and the fact that many children and grandchildren from our members were in that school, but I was thinking beyond that to getting a senior center established in Hudson. And that is a center that would be state supported and provide services for the really older adults in the community, which is being needed more and more as we stay older longer. And so that is one thought. I'm not 65, I can't do it now, but I thought maybe I could plant some seeds in your wonderful minds. Maybe something has already been done about that school. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up. But anyway, that's something I think would be a wonderful addition to Hudson. And just before I close, I want to say that I have loved living in Hudson. I've been here now, I think it's close to 13 years. And I just love Hudson. It's my home. And I love the people. I love the community. I love Main Street and all the shops. I've come to know many of the shop owners, and it's a wonderful, wonderful community. And so that is how I will end. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Iris. Thank you for being an inspiration to us. Donna, I don't know if you already have a connection with Iris, but it sounds to me like she's right up your alley in terms of somebody who, who is not going easily into retirement.
You're
Who has
reading my
many
mind.
things-
I sat here and thought, oh my goodness, I need to talk. Iris, I'm hoping we can have
Yeah.
a glass of wine, okay?
Yeah,
We'll have to get him down to Hudson's.
very good. Okay. All right. And did anybody else have any other questions or comments for Iris? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Iris, for all you've done for our community, and we really appreciate it. And we're very proud to have you as our Jimmy Sutphin awardee this year.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Reflecting back a little bit on this past year, I think it's safe to say this was a bit of an odd year. I'm not sure that the folks that founded our club in 90 years ago would have ever expected a Rotary year that looked like the one that we've had this year. In some respects, it started out pretty normally. The only odd thing at the beginning of the year was the fact that I was nominated and selected to be president rather late to the process. And as a result, I missed out on all the good training that Rotary president-elects usually get. So I started out with maybe an arm tied behind my back, but despite that, I had several great things going in my favor. First of all, I'd been a member of this club for a number of years, and I've been paying attention, and so I understood a lot about the culture of the organization and many of the traditions that we have. Second, the club was in excellent shape. We were healthy, we're doing well financially, from a membership standpoint, culturally. I think we're a very healthy organization. And then the third thing I had going for me is I had a lot of good people who were committed to making this club even better and more successful. And they were committed to helping me succeed. So I really appreciate that. And I think we did succeed. I'll touch on some of these successes as I thank those members who made them possible. So for the most part, it's an odd year, as I said. For the most part, the first 8 months went pretty well, pretty smoothly. But then 4 months ago, we met a challenge, and of course, it was quite a challenge, not just for our club, but for the entire country and the entire world. John, thanks for reminding me about the Marines earlier. I know they have a slogan about improvising, adapting, and overcoming, and I always like that. And I'm proud to say that I think we as a club did that this year. Within weeks of learning that we would no longer be able to meet physically for the foreseeable future, we didn't know what that was at the time, we started meeting virtually. We adapted to the situation, and in my estimation, that's been a success. As I mentioned, Rotary does not envision us returning to our traditional physical meetings before January. But I'm proud to think that we have laid the groundwork over the last few months for our club having even better and more valuable to our members virtual meetings, until we can get together physically again and share a meal again. So I mentioned that we had a successful year because so many of you are committed to making this club successful and meaningful. And I'd like to call out some of you in particular for your contributions. First of all, Ben Rexroad. I'd like to thank Ben for his continuing excellent service to our club as treasurer. Ben not only does a wonderful job of the administrative tasks associated with the job, but also interpreting the financial information for the board and making great recommendations for the board to consider. As we end this fiscal year, Ben has us in good financial shape. I also would like to call out Chris Barker. Chris, I'm not sure you're on this morning. I think she's probably had to miss a few.
She's there. I'm here.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, wonderful, Chris. I'm so glad. You know, she's given us so much excellent service over so many years and again this year. Of course, over the last several months, Chris's professional duties have prevented her from attending some of our virtual meetings. But I know, Chris, that we're all grateful for what you've been doing, not only as a Rotarian, not only as secretary of our club, but also as a banker to help keep our local businesses fiscally fit. So one thing I do miss about the fact that we're not physically meeting is listening to Chris lead us in song each week. I'm really looking forward to be able to get that tradition back again.
So am I.
All right, wonderful. I'd like to also recognize Rich Warfield. Rich, as head of the membership committee, has done an excellent job over the past year. In addition to recruiting and orienting several excellent new members this year, he and his team, Mike Swain and Richard Nebbiolo, have put together materials and plans that will bring us more high-quality members over the next few years. And I'm very proud of the work that they've done this year. I'd like to acknowledge also Ron Strobel. Ron, his official role is Sergeant of Arms, but he's so much more to our club. Of course, Ron, along with Tom Page, recruited me to be president this year after I'd thwarted Evan a few times. They had to bring in the big guns. So Ron was always there when I needed advice and was always there to support me. He's given so much of himself to our club over time, and I just want to say how much I respect him for it. So thank you, Ron. We have, as I understand it, 4 people who are stepping down from important roles in our club. And I just want to thank them individually. First of all, Joe Zapatowski. Over the year, Joe has demonstrated an exceptional appreciation and commitment to the mission of the Rotary International Foundation. He's been our Rotary International Foundation representative. As a demonstration of his appreciation for Rotary International Foundation, he is here's an example. He's a Paul Harris Fellow so many times over that I don't think they probably have room to put additional stones on his badge. But he is, and by the way, he's been very generous at trying to recruit more of us to become members of the Paul Harris Society. A few months ago, Joe asked me to find someone to replace him in this role. It wasn't an easy thing to do. I stumbled around for a few months, but as I mentioned recently, Evan McCauley has agreed to step in as our representative to the Rotary International Foundation. And I think he's got a great aptitude for this job and will do a great job. So thank you very much, Joe, for your work. We appreciate it. Second of all, as I just mentioned, Evan McCauley will be stepping down as our former president of the club from that role. I really appreciate Evan for his involvement in more ways than I can list. He's offered valuable advice, leadership, and service at the club level, foundation level, and district level. I think a number of us see a bright leadership future for Evan in Rotary, one that will reflect very positively on Rotary Club of Hudson. And we're going to be glad to be your launching spot to bigger and better things over time, Evan, if I'm reading that correctly.
Tom,
So
yeah. You've done a great job this year, and I couldn't be more proud of you.
Well, thank you so much. Believe me, I'm very proud of you. Hey, another person who's going to be stepping down from a significant role is George Snyder, who's asked to step down as chairman of the Speakers Committee. I hope you all understand how critically important good programs are for the health and success of our club. George certainly understands this, and for several years now, he has insisted on excellence. He and his committee, consisting of Jim Lang, Jim Ahern, John Adams, Evan McCauley, and Joe Avella. I think I've got everybody there if I'm not mistaken. They've done a wonderful job and deserve our thanks. John Adams will be taking over as chair of this committee, and I know he's going to do a fabulous job. But thank you again to George and for setting and achieving such a high standard in that regard. Okay, let's see. I'd also like to thank someone we haven't seen in quite a while, Clint Samuels, for his service to our club board. It's my understanding that family health issues have made it very difficult, if impossible, for Clint to participate this year as he has in previous years. We miss Clint, and we hope he will be able to rejoin us as an active participant at some point in the future. I will give you a hint. I believe that you will be very impressed with the person who I believe the board plans to nominate as a replacement for Clint on the club's board. We'll save that for right now. Let's see, another person, Ed Sogan. Ed, I gotta call you out. You're a person I always look forward to seeing each week, Ed. You just make Rotary fun. But it's not just that. You contribute a lot. I mean, you're really an exemplary Rotarian. I want to thank you for your leadership on Santa on the Green project and for all the entertainment you provide us on Fine Day performances and just the many other things. You're always the first person to stick up your hand. So thank you for all you do for our club, Ed. Jay Yard, as a club board member, certainly, but I also want to recognize the work that Jay has done to promote our club through news articles and social media. He portrays the work of our club and our members in a way that attracts prospective members and donors to our organization. And he gives us an image that we can be proud of. And I thank you for all the hard work you do with that, Jay. You're very talented at it.
You all create the image. It's easy to write it.
Well, you do a wonderful job with it. Thank you. Mike Swain, also a club board member, as I mentioned earlier, membership of the membership committee, and our contact person with the service learning class. You know, kind of amazing. The guy plays all these roles. Am I wrong? Time gets my memory gets a little fuzzy, but didn't he have 2 joints replaced over this last Rotary year? Was it 2 hips? The guy's amazing. So he can play hurt. and I appreciate all he does. I want to thank all the members of the scholarship committee for, and when I say all of them, it's Dan Williams, Catherine Sines, and Ron Strobel for the work that you've done to administer that program and the hard job you have, and I know it is, of deciding among so many worthy scholarship candidates. It's a difficult job, but you guys do it with grace, and you make us feel all very proud about the way that program is run, and we thank you for that. I want to call out also Elizabeth Kowalik. I have a great deal of respect for Elizabeth. It must have been difficult for her to find time for Rotary this past year, what with the arrival of her second child and the responsibilities of her very demanding job, but she manages to fit Rotary in too. And I've always thought the really smart people in the rooms are the ones who ask the right questions. And as a club board member, Elizabeth certainly does this, and it generally helps us make, as a board and as an organization, make better decisions. So thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate what you do. Like to call out a thank you to the, I guess you'd call it the audio-visual setup, production, and takedown group, who is enjoying a very lengthy vacation right now. But they've worked their butts off, and I appreciate Ron Barnhouse, Tom Page, James Field, Kelly Brennan, John Adams, and Max Wendell for what they do to make everything go so smoothly in our meetings. And I thought, you know, we did pretty well this year. I think that I thought it worked very nicely. So good job, guys. Liz Ramsey, of course, we really appreciate what you do. Sometimes our fellow members need a little emotional support from the rest of us. Liz does a really nice job of coordinating those expressions, often through a thoughtful card or note that she has us sign or she sends on to folks, or phone calls she makes to people. These are small gestures, but they sometimes mean a lot. And I want to thank Liz for I also want to thank Liz for hosting some of our guests for the Vocal Impact program, which we had in December. I thought that went very nicely too. Matt LaFountain, president of the Hudson Rotary Foundation. By the way, most other local Rotary clubs do not have a charitable foundation. I think in part this is because of all the extra work that's required to administer and oversee it. And I feel that having a foundation is a real asset for our club and provides us with if you will, a competitive advantage over other service organizations. It makes us a stronger organization. Matt, and indeed all of the board members, the foundation board members and officers, deserve our appreciation for the important fiduciary role they play. I'd like to also mention particularly Richard Nebbiolo as part of the grants committee for helping coordinating all the grant requests through the approval process. He's really helped me understand where things stand a little bit better. Tom Page, you know, I want to thank you for particularly for a lot of things, but I do want to, I think the club also, you know, thinks of you in particularly as the kind of the one guy that runs the fall fundraiser. It's quite an effort. You've done it for a number of years. You've done a heck of a job with it. You've brought a lot of money into the organization. You've shown a lot of leadership, a lot of enthusiasm for it. It's an important thing, and I appreciate that. But for so many things, Tom, thank you for all you do for the club. Pat Shearer for leading our Art on the Green project. This is always a great event for Rotarians to roll up our sleeves and work together and get to know each other better and enjoy each other. If I remember correctly, last August, we even had excellent weather, which isn't always the case. Pat, you did a great job on this, and I appreciate that. A couple others, Jim Young for coordinating the members who provide us our invitations each week. Thank you, Jim. You did a really great job this morning. You got Phil to speak, and boy, he hit it right out of the park. Jim Ahern, I want to thank you and your committee for the work on the four-way speech contest. As it turned out, our club winners were prevented by the coronavirus from advancing to the district competition this year, but Jim and his team gave them a chance to compete locally here, and they really had to kind of dance around to make that happen because it was just when things were shutting down at Laurel Lake, and we really had to kind of improvise something there. They really did, and I'm glad that all the hard work that you created an opportunity, because I know those kids put a lot of hard work into putting together those presentations, and I'm really happy that you gave them a chance to compete. Marilyn, I especially want to thank Marilyn for all of her help this year. I don't even know how to count how many different ways that she's helped me. I know how disappointed she was that we had to cancel the gala this year. She had done so much work preparing for it. I know it really broke her heart a little bit that we had to cancel it, but she took it in stride, and she's she's a trooper. Also, I just wanted to thank she and Joe Avella for the great job they did with our exchange student, Serena, this year. I thought that was a good experience, and I was proud of that we were able to host her, and that all went very smoothly and was a good experience. I just want you all to know that how confident I am that Marion will do a fantastic job as president of our club in the coming year. She has all the qualities we need, and I look forward to giving her my full cooperation as she leads us to becoming a better club. Now, I haven't called out the contributions of all of our members. You know, if I've not mentioned your name, please do not think that I and your fellow members don't appreciate what you do for this club and our community. You know, it's a real team activity, and it takes all of our members pulling together to make this a good organization and have an impact in the community. And I appreciate all the efforts that go into it. Shifting to something else here, we have, I mean, not too different. We have a tradition in this club of naming a Rotarian of the Year. I bet the presidents who have preceded me in this role would agree this is a tough decision. I can think of at least a half dozen members who go above and beyond in their service to this club and the community. But I can think of no one more deserving in this challenging year to be Rotarian of the Year than Donna Kastner. And when the coronavirus hit and disrupted lives, most business opportunities Donna was working on, as I think she's told us, became non-income producing. Despite this, Donna, always the problem solver, saw an opportunity to help our club. She envisioned how our club could move to virtual meetings, and she offered her experience and resources to make that happen. The other day, Marilyn reminded me that our club's Zoom meetings run circles around many of the others that she attends, and I know that's because of what the hard work that Donna has done to make them that way. So I really appreciate that. Donna, I'm ordering your Rotarian of the Year award, but it has not arrived yet. So please accept the token of gratitude that our club dropped at your front door last evening as a substitute until we can get you your permanent award. I think all members who agree with me that this was a good selection, please indicate by clapping your hands.
Yay. I have to say, well, first of all, just really quick thank you. And I find it extremely ironic because for a myriad of personal and professional reasons, some time ago, I had to drop a roll, and you stepped up. So I just find it so ironic and even poetic. Who would have thought I was the slacker? I'm the person that caused all the ruckus. So Tom, thanks for your leadership on this. This year, it's been an amazing year, and it just was nice to do something on the tail end to help. So,
well, it was a big help, and we really appreciate it. So, you know, I just wanted to add then, you know, in addition, I want to thank you all for the support you've shown me this year. It's been an honor to be your president, and let me assure you that I am confident in saying to anyone that I am proud to be a Rotarian. I'm looking forward to bigger and better things to come.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Tom, can I say something?
Yeah, please, Dad.
You know, I'm going to take off my hat as your father, which is easy to do, and put on my hat as a Rotarian member of the team in Hudson. And I want to congratulate you for a great year as president, a very difficult year, as president, and how you've led us through this difficult time to the point where I think we're actually bonding together even better than we were before this whole virus started. Again, my appreciation to you. When Tom and I joined Rotary probably 27 years ago or 26 years ago, we did it for the purpose of reaching out and seeing if we could become involved in the community. And we both chose Rotary. We joined together the same day through Regis Smith. And I have to tell you that in the last 27 years, it has been something that I can always treasure, is my meetings with you, the members of the team, and Rotary has played a big part in my life. You know, it's interesting. I've watched every year for 26 years as a new person took over as president of Rotary. And I've observed the before and the after. And now, Tom, you're facing the after. And I have to say, you followed the same pattern, and it's a marvelous thing. Typically, the new president starts out a little bit uncertain, a little bit uncomfortable with his role or her role as the president of the club. And then by the end of the term, it's an entirely different thing. And you have demonstrated that leadership. So again, I'm speaking not as your father, but as a member of the club. Thanks again for all you've done for us and all you will do for us in the future.
Oh, thanks, Dad. Thank you. You know, I want to assure people, because I was thinking about this, you know, I've watched presidents come and go in this organization as well. And every one of them have done a very good job. It seems like we burn some of them out for some reason, and some of them go, you know,
Go away.
After a year as president, they kind of fade away a little bit. I just want to assure you, and I know that's only some of them, that's the minority of them, but I want to assure you that I'm more enthusiastic than ever about Rotary and our club, and I will not be fading away. I plan to become a more active member and to do everything that I can support to support this organization becoming bigger and better. So, all right, let's see. By the way, there's one regret that I would remiss if I didn't mention. My one regret is that we have yet to identify a president-elect so this would be the person who will be succeeding Marilyn as president a year from now. So I want you all to be, you know, search your souls and think about that. And if there is somebody, you know, we're going to be reaching out to some folks and finding a president-elect, but be prepared to have that conversation. If you think that you might be a good candidate for that, please stick up your hand and let me or Marilyn know. Okay? All right. By the way, Marilyn, did you have anything you wanted to say? Are you still there with the birds?
I am here. I have a few comments I'd like to make. Okay. It's really been an upside down and backward year. Who would have known 90 years ago when this club was founded on March 26th that they would have the foresight to envision that Hudson would be a place where Rotary could find a purpose and still be relevant 90 years later. And I think part of that goes to the strength of our leadership. And so I'd really like to thank Tom Tobin for your devotion and leadership that you gave this year. And I'm really sorry that we can't be together today, because I'm a hugger and I'm going to miss giving you that hug. So whenever it's allowed, we'll do that. How about that? But also, because I'm in Three Oaks, Michigan, I've enlisted a cohort to help me in this transition. I was commissioned on Monday night, and I've asked your dad to present to you the plaque that we have.
He did.
For the past president and your past, probably the most desired piece of Rotary hardware, the past president's pin. So anyway.
And by the way, I have them both. I have them both here. I'm just showing them off to everybody who's.
There we go.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome. I'd also like to give a small list of thank yous to a number of people here. In particular, I'd like to thank Mimi Becker, who is a new member of the Rotary Club board. I would also like to thank Mike Swain and Jay Yard, current board members whose terms were expiring, and they have both given a yes to continue. And I think it's so important because of the goals that they have with the Hudson Service Learning Club, as well as our marketing and outreach. And I'd like to also report that this has been a pretty successful year under Tom. We have again qualified for the Easy Baker Award. And that is a symbol that the district gives to clubs that are successful within our district. Now, you have to understand that this is the year of the coronavirus. And so the district essentially graded on the curve this year. They awarded 1,500 points to any club that was going to do Zoom meetings or continue their meetings by the digital format. You know what? We didn't need that 1,500 points because we had already achieved, we'd already aced that exam with the variety and the depth of our projects and our commitment to our community. And so congratulations to all of us.
Yes.
Lastly, I would like to thank a number of people in the club who have really made my joining this club comfortable. First of all, to Joe Avila for being an awesome youth exchange leader. That's one of the reasons that I joined this club in the first place, was to be involved with the foreign exchange students. He invited me to join him in this work, that program, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And I also want to give full recognition to everyone who's on the gala committee, from Gail Royster to Ron Strobel, Chris Barker, Dan Filburn, Jim Lang, Catherine Sines, Jay Yard, Richard Nubiolo, Tom Page, and Evan McCauley. That program doesn't come off without the support of everyone within the club as well. And lastly, to the rest of my Rotary mentors. In Xenia, Don Anderson, my insurance agent, when I was running a practice there, was the first person who invited me to a Rotary meeting. And my mentors there, Herman Menapace, who was the CEO of Green Memorial Hospital, and Dr. David Warner, a family practitioner within my own group, who was a longstanding Rotary member and past district governor. In Dover, the people who welcomed me there were Bob McDonald, who ran a local nursing home, and past district governor, Dr. Meena Patel. And then in Cincinnati, past district governor Yuta Papke and Nancy Reese were welcoming and made me feel like I was contributing.